The Newsday continues here on One News Now. I'm Sean Yao. The Health Department is preparing for the administration of bivalent COVID-19 vaccines, which are expected to arrive this month. We have JC Cosico reporting to us live from Manila for the details. JC, hi, good afternoon. Will they be rolling out these bivalent vaccines by groups, by age groups, those with comorbidities?
Sean, according to the Health Department, those shots are expected to arrive next year. And soon as these arrive in the country, it will still depend on experts to which groups will receive first this COVID-19 vaccines, which are specific to the original strain of the virus and the Omicron variant. Sean.
And is there already a target date or at least a moving target for the administration of these new kinds of vaccines?
Sean, that remains to be seen as negotiations are still ongoing with different vaccine manufacturers, include Pfizer and Moderna. We have yet to ask DOH on this, but the agency earlier said that once these are finalized, vaccinations will proceed. Sean.
JC, the vaccination against COVID-19 has been limited to those until age 5, meaning those below 5 years of age have not yet been cleared to receive their inoculations. Is there an update on whether those under 5 or when those under 5 can get the vaccine?
Sean, the DOH said that studies are still ongoing as to the efficacy of COVID-19 shots to children below 5 years old, but the agency underscored the possibility of yearly or regular vaccination among those who are receiving the shots because of evolving evidence on these vaccines. Sean.
Right. COVID restrictions have been loosened up through the last couple of months. Is the Health Department open to the localized implementation of restrictions moving forward?
Yes, Sean, that's actually the changes on the alert level system, which the DOH presented to the IATF last Wednesday. According to DOH OIC Maria Rosario Vergere, restrictions will no longer be coming from the national government. Instead, it's the local governments which will enforce these restrictions depending on their risk level, meaning the number of cases in their area and if they are able to manage their own COVID situation. Now, the DILG is tasked to assess whether LGUs can do so. Sean.
All right, I'm going to move over the conversation to another illness, hand, foot, and mouth disease. The DOH had earlier said that there is no outbreak yet of HFMD in Metro Manila. What are the parameters for the DOH to declare that there is already an outbreak?
Sean, according to Vergere, there are several factors to declare an outbreak of HFMD. It includes if the 5-year trend of infections has been surpassed and when cases are no longer manageable and preventable. But as we speak, according to Vergere, the infections in the country remain to be manageable. But in the last 4 weeks, there are areas in the country which recorded a high number of infections, include Albay, Bataan, and Cagayan Valley. But according to Vergere, only 29% of these cases are active and the rest have recovered. And in addition, the infections of HFMD in the country are only in milder form and no deaths have been recorded since January. Sean.
All right, thank you so much for those updates. JC Cosico reporting to us live from Manila. Thanks, JC. In other news, Marikina Representative Stella Quimbo has proposed more amendments to the Maharlika Wealth Fund Bill. Quimbo suggested for the 15-member board to include the presidents of the Land Bank and Development Bank of the Philippines. Also, instead of the sitting president, the current finance secretary shall serve as chairman of the board. Quimbo also wants 7 members to represent the fund contributors. Their seats in the board will depend on the size of their investments in the wealth fund. And from just 2, 4 independent directors from the private sector will also be tapped to be part of the MWF board. Finance Chief Ben Diokno is calling for the swift passage of the measure creating the Maharlika Wealth Fund. Diokno says that economic managers are in full support of the proposal, which he described as a vehicle for prosperity. Diokno expressed confidence that the right people will be chosen to be the fund managers.
They will be able to ensure the availability of an alternative high-return investment platform, obtain the best absolute return for the funds, find additional sources of liquidity as the need arises, and perform better risk management given additional layers of checks and balances.
Diokno also explained that the Maharlika Wealth Fund will use proceeds from privatized government assets. He did add, though, that state insurance agencies could still invest in the Sovereign Wealth Fund if they wish to. The GSIS and the SSS were recently removed as funding sources for the MWF after pushback from several groups.
We are not mandating them to contribute. If they want high return, they may decide to contribute. Okay, but that is up to the respective boards of GSIS.
One News Now will be back with more stories after this quick break. Keep it here. You're still watching One News Now. I'm Sean Yao. China and Saudi Arabia have signed several deals on energy as Beijing furthers its ties to the United States' longtime ally. More details in this Bloomberg report.
So what we know so far is that President Xi Jinping has expressed a willingness for China to increase its collaboration with Saudi Arabia in terms of energy. So that includes buying more oil from Saudi, but also it includes signing some agreements when it comes to solar, when it comes to hydrogen. Obviously, the world is moving away from carbon-based fuels, and Saudi Arabia is no different. It's the Crown Prince has been trying to wean the economy off of its dependence on oil, and China has been leading in many ways the global effort to move to renewables. So that makes a lot of sense. Obviously, it's interesting because this comes on the heels of a bit of a spat between Saudi Arabia and the United States over OPEC plus Russia and the output of oil on the global market.
In a way, it seems very reactionary, but at the same time, when you're talking about harmonizing Vision 2030 and China's Belt and Road Initiative, how much of a long-term commitment is this?
Obviously, I think both these countries, both Saudi Arabia and China, have an eye for the future. We are sort of at a point of transition, not only in terms of energy, but obviously the global environment, the sort of increasing rivalry between the United States and China, the multipolar world that we're increasingly living in. And I think both countries are looking to the future and trying to plan out or map out how best to go about laying out or building the sort of world they want to see. Obviously, China trying to increase its influence around the world through Belt and Road, and Saudi Arabia trying to increase its place in the world beyond just energy through its 2030 vision plan.
Let's now take a quick look at today's other top stories. Supporters of suspended Corrections Chief Gerald Bantag gathered once again in Baguio City. Bantag attended the event on horseback, with the group marching from Casa Vallejo to Ibaloy Park. Bantag's camp has yet to formally submit his counter-affidavit and instead is pushing for state prosecutors to inhibit from the Percy Lapid slay case. Pag-asa says that the low-pressure area off of Surigao del Norte could intensify further this weekend. The LPA will be named Rosal once it develops into a tropical depression within the next 24 to 48 hours. Filipinas Got Talent champion Jovit Baldivino has passed away at the age of 29. His family says he was in a coma for 5 days after a blood clot was found in his brain. For more updates, visit News 5, The Philippine Star, and Business World online. Visit our website, onenews.ph, for more in-depth analysis. You can also catch One News on Signal Play. Register for a free account at www.signalplay.com and stream One News Live anytime, anywhere. I am Sean Yao. We are One News.